Birmingham City have just proved to the Championship why they need to be taking them seriously and why they're going to be right up there at the end of the season, because the limbs in that game, the travelling fans, the overall atmosphere at Birmingham City right now just continues to march on with a great win against Blackburn, a 2-1 win. If you're a Birmingham City fan, then do hit subscribe on this channel. We do daily Championship content and we talk about Birmingham City a lot on this page. So do hit that subscribe button. If you're a Blackburn fan as well, do hit subscribe on this channel. Drop a like as well if you do go on to enjoy the video. It'd be very greatly appreciated. And where do you even start with a game like this? Absolute carnage. It was a very close match for the vast majority of the game, but it just exploded into life for Birmingham City from the 90th minute onwards. Obviously, I've not watched the full 90. I've just watched the highlights back. And it wasn't really a game that had too much in it for the most part for most of the 90 minutes. And Birmingham City honestly didn't put in the best performance. They were solid at the back. They didn't allow Blackburn many chances at all. But in terms of chance creation, it wasn't really too great from Birmingham City. And definitely wasn't a day where they were on form. But you say this with all good teams, they always seem to pick up results, even if they're not playing that well. And that is what the case was for Birmingham City, because we've had two really good performances from them. And you had the game against Ipswich where you'd say they should have put the game to bed. They played really well, and they definitely could have put the game maybe out of sight in that game against Ipswich with the performance. But that didn't happen, and then you say that they ended up getting a point at the end of the day. It's not a win, and it's disappointing not getting the win for how well they played. You had the game against Sheffield United where, again, they were absolutely dominating that game in terms of chance creation as well as just dominating the game in general. And Sheffield United in that game were far second best, and then all of a sudden you get a Gustavo Haber's shot from the halfway line. It goes in, it's 1-1. They of course ended up getting the job done in that game, but again, it's another game where you'd say that Birmingham City could have put that game to bed, and then they wouldn't have had them kind of issues that they had. This game, as I say, they didn't really create too much. It was a very difficult game. Blackburn made it hard for them. It's always going to be difficult going to Ewood Park and going away from home. But by the way, 19,500 fans in the ground. Over 7,000 of them were Birmingham City. It was hardly even like a home match with the atmosphere from what I'm seeing. It was more like a home match for Birmingham City with the way the fans were in that match. Blackburn fans were actually decent, I think, in the game as well. But as I say, with Birmingham City fans going away, 7,000 fans, to experience that at the end of the game would be a special feeling. As I say, the atmosphere, the vibe around Birmingham City right now, it just continues to march on. So we'll just start off with the chance for Todd Cantwell, and the goal for Todd Cantwell in the 50th minute. Kind of pinball in the Birmingham City box. Goes out to the kind of the edge of the box, just about maybe inside the box, where Todd Cantwell, beautiful volley, first time volley, right into the bottom corner. Absolutely nothing that Ryan Allsop can do about that in the Birmingham City goal. And a great moment for Todd Cantwell, who's a player who I think needs to step up for Blackburn this season, because I put Blackburn in my predictions to be right down there at the end of the season. And as I say, I think I've kind of spoken about Blackburn a few times. I think with their transfers, they've lost a lot of key players to their team that have been around for numerous years and been a part of that Birmingham City furniture. Callum Britton, Tyrese Dolan, Costello, Andy Vyman, Danny Batt. You've got so many players there that all need to be replaced, which, yeah, they brought in players, but these are all players from overseas who we kind of don't really know what to expect from them right now. So for a player like Todd Cantwell, he's kind of that flair player in the Birmingham City side, and he's a player that, honestly, I thought should be playing Premier League football. Like, he's 27 years old now, should really be in his prime. And when he broke through at Norwich City, him and Pookie that season in the Premier League, I really thought Todd Cantwell was going to have a good career in the Premier League, and now he's sat in the Championship with Blackburn Rovers, which still not, of course, playing at a very good level at the Championship, but for a player that was being talked about with like a £40 million move for Liverpool at one point, talk about potentially going to the England squad eventually when he kind of develops more, it just hasn't really happened for Todd Cantwell. And hopefully for him this season, he was good last season in spells for Blackburn, but then he completely fell off. You've got to hope he's got to be that main man for Blackburn, because I do think that squad is void of real talent, and as I say, they got close to players last season. I just don't see it happening this season. I do think they'll be down there come the end of the season with the atmosphere that they've got around the owners, around the ownership. They're not really convinced with their manager as well. I'm a bit concerned for Blackburn Rovers going forward, I'm not going to lie. But that's taken absolutely nothing away from Birmingham City, because as I say, Birmingham City would have gone into that game and wanted to get a win. I do think they're going to be up there come the end of the season, and playing against a team like Blackburn, Birmingham City will need to be getting results, positive results against teams like Blackburn, in my opinion. And as I say, to turn it around the way they did, first starting off with Jay Stanfield, I think it was a clear penalty. I think it was a clear foul. There was no complaints from Blackburn Rovers on that penalty, in my opinion, whatsoever. It didn't even look like the players for Blackburn were complaining too much, because it was just definitely a penalty. And Jay Stanfield stepped up to take the penalty, and I want to speak on Jay Stanfield, because I do think he has got an opportunity to be one of, if not the top scorers in the Championship this season, because you look at it, he's on penalties. Obviously, a lot got spoken about Jay Stansfield on penalties last season in League One, but penalties at the end of the day, goal's a goal, and if he can get a few penalties added in with the kind of confidence that he's got now, I spoke on the first game of the season, I think that goal that he got against Ipswich was massive for his confidence. The way that he's taken his other chances since. I think it's a player that now has got a lot more confidence. Look at the goal that he scored against Sheffield United to kind of cut it back onto his left foot, have that composure to put it in the back of the net. Which, as I say, in the first game week before he got that first goal, he might have snatched on that. Chance, and then you're not talking about a player that's got as much confidence as what he has right now. So I'm saying he's got penalty goals, and as well as that, he's looking confident in front of goal in general right now. It wasn't his best game by the times. He didn't really get involved too much in the play from what I've seen. But it doesn't matter as long as you get yourself a goal and you get your team the 3 points. That's all that matters at the end of the day. And obviously coming off the back of a 19-goal season in League One is very impressive. Of course, obviously a lot gets spoken about the price tag, and he always gets he's kind of the number one target in terms of wherever something goes wrong for Birmingham City from opposition fans especially. But even last time he was in the Championship, 12 goals in a side that got relegated, in a side that was managed under Wayne Rooney for a good spell in the Championship season, to still come out with 12 goals that season. Now you're looking at he's playing in a Birmingham City side that's got to create chances and just such a better outfit than what they obviously were last time in the Championship. So you do think Jay Stansfield can really be up there in terms of Championship goal scores. And you look at how many goals players in the Championship scored last season. The top scorer was Joel Pereira on 18 league goals or 19 league goals, something like that. But it wasn't exactly like it was some crazy high total. We've not got them out-and-out goal scorers in the Championship like we have done in previous years. So that really does make me think that Jay Stansfield will be right up there in terms of the Golden Boot this year in the Championship. And of course, played in kind of like a number 10 role. Obviously, he might sometimes be in that number 9 role. Birmingham City, you've got options in that forward line. You've got obviously Kyogo. You've also got Jay Stansfield now himself. Then you've got ducksch, who's not played a game yet. And then as well as that, you've also got Lyndon Dykes, who we'll talk about in a second. But as I say, really good moment for Jay Stansfield to get that penalty and score that goal in front of the away end. Obviously, big pressure penalty in front of 7,000 travelling fans in the 90th minute. But then, as we know, 11 minutes got added onto the match. And that's where on 98 minutes. And by the way, Allsop made a save before that on 96 minutes. So a big save for Allsop. Obviously a big moment for him because obviously Birmingham City did go ahead and score 2 minutes later. So as I say, Lyndon Dykes, and I want to speak about Lyndon Dykes because he had a very difficult moment in the game against Ipswich. Of course, he's a very divisive striker. Obviously, me being a QPR fan, I've watched Dykes week in, week out, where on his day he can be such a handful and you think this guy's actually a decent player. And then he just goes missing for a few games. And you're like, is this guy how is this guy a Championship footballer? That was the vibe that I got from Lyndon Dykes when I was watching him week in, week out at QPR. Can put in just a masterclass performance out of nowhere and then be absolutely diabolical. Of course, at Birmingham City, he's got a very different role to what he has when he was at QPR, obviously playing week in, week out. Birmingham City, you'd have to say, if everybody's fit in terms of those kind of 4 strikers that they've got who can all operate up front, Lyndon Dykes would be the 4th choice once ducksch is back, in my opinion. But a big moment, of course, he was the guy that gave away that penalty against Ipswich, and he was obviously, in my opinion, it wasn't a penalty in the slightest. So a very difficult moment for him to come off the bench, give away a penalty, which in my opinion just wasn't a penalty in the slightest, and then obviously Birmingham City not go and get that win in the game against Ipswich. So a difficult moment, I'd imagine, for him, and a sweet, sweet moment for him to go and get that goal on 98 minutes. And by the way, really nice assist from Demarai Gray. That's the kind of quality that he's got. To talk about Premier League quality, talk about a player that has been around and got that kind of experience and got that composure. A lot of players might have just flashed that across. They might have not been able to put that perfectly in the path of Lyndon Dykes. He put it just into the right area, the perfect area. And as I say, for a player like Demarai Gray who's played numerous games, 200 games, whatever it is, in the Premier League, and he shows that kind of quality and that kind of composure, just to slide into the right place for Lyndon Dykes to put into the back of the net, to send the Birmingham City fans into bedlam. It was absolute carnage in that away end. And this is what I want to say about Birmingham City. This is why I do think they'll be up there come the end of the season. Not just the ability and the talent in that squad, which we'll discuss a little bit later on, but it's the whole atmosphere around the club and the fans, taking 7,000 fans to Blackburn, having them kind of moments. And it's a sign of a good team. You say this all the time. It's a sign of a good team who can just get results, and they don't play that well. Because you can be critical in the other games of Birmingham where they've been dominant in games, in the game against Sheffield United where they're dominating the game. Gustavo Hamer just goes and puts one in from the halfway, and of course they ended up getting through that game and winning, but you never know, on another day that match might have ended up going to penalties, and that was a game where they really should have put to bed and made it 2-0, and that should never happened. And then you look at the game against Ipswich as well. They were the better team by far, and again they didn't put the game to bed, and then Ipswich go and score. So it's a big positive for Birmingham. Even obviously the performance wasn't as good as what it was against Sheffield United and what it was against Ipswich, but if you're going to take your chances the way they did, and as well as that, come out with the 3 points when you're not playing that well away from home at Ewood Park, it's such a big positive for Birmingham, because I don't think they're going to play as not as badly, but in terms of chance creation, it wasn't really there. The chance that they created, they scored. but I think in future weeks they'll create a lot more chances, and it's positive if they can put them chances away and get the results, as I say, when you're not playing well, because that's a sign of all good teams in the Championship. You look at the stats here, and Birmingham City on the expected goals absolutely dominated. Of course, they had the Dykes chance, which was a big XG on that, and as well as that, Jace down to a penalty as well. So that adds up to a lot of the XG. Other than that, it was a pretty even game up until 90 minutes from what I've seen anyway. But the two big chances that Birmingham had, they both took, which is obviously something that you can be critical on Birmingham in the last few weeks, that they haven't taken them chances well enough. So a big moment for them in terms of, as I say, performance-wise not being the best, but then coming out with the 3 points and coming out with a win, that's all that matters. And by the way, again, Birmingham City very solid defensively. Clara got man of the match on the FOTMob ratings. Very, very solid defensively. I think Ethan Laird came on and made a really good impact again off the bench. I think Birmingham City, as I say, they got a lot of competition in them kind of places in the fullback area, which is ideal. And still got them kind of players on the bench that can come on, like Tommy Doyle. I think actually thought Williamson was decent in the cup game as well, and Cashin as well. You got some serious quality that can come on off the bench, and you've got a team that's been very, very solid now in all three of the matches and limited 3 teams and 2 very good teams, or at least Ipswich a very good team, to very few chances. And that's a real positive. This back line is looking really settled in terms of who they've got and how well they're playing. You've got 2 players in front of them in Peik and Iwata who are just fantastic protectors and great on the ball as well, and offer so much to that Birmingham City side in the middle of the park, and got real legs and running power as well. They really do bring a lot to that Birmingham City side in terms of protecting the back line as well. So real positive there coming out of Birmingham City. And it's a big win, because if they didn't get a win in this game, they're only on 2 points, and you feel like they wouldn't have deserved to be on that little amount of points with how well they've played. So it's a big win, and as I say, I do think this is the start of Birmingham City, where they really are going to be up there come the end of the season. We just have a look at the fixtures coming up for Birmingham in the future. Oxford up next at home. I think it's a really nice home game for Birmingham City, where you bat them to go again, and then they're going into the next game in the Championship, a big game against Leicester, which will be a huge test for that Birmingham City side. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that side currently actually goes on to kind of perform and how it gets on after. And as I say, so much positivity. It wasn't the best performance today, but at the end of the day, they came out with 3 points, and it was absolute limbs at the away. I don't think the away end will care how bad or if they were disappointed with the performance. At the end of the day, it's all about that 3 points, and if you're performing badly, it's about coming out with the 3 points, which Birmingham City absolutely did in that game. So looking forward to the future games coming up for Birmingham. I think it's going to be really positive this season. I do think they'll be right up there come the end of the season. There has been a few teams in the Championship that have been quite impressive so far, but as I say, Birmingham City, really, really good start to the season, and now at least have got themselves 4 points, and they're sat in the playoff positions currently going into the next games. If you're a Birmingham City fan, hit subscribe on the channel. If you're a Blackburn fan, do it, subscribe as well. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like down below. By the way, please hit that subscribe button just to take 1 second. It'd be very greatly appreciated. We do daily Championship content, so please do help me out. And drop a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.